Hello and most welcome to the lecture about Julian Barber's view of physics. This is, so to speak, halfway into quantum mechanics, a deeper understanding of the classical physics. It's a segue into understanding the referential nature of quantum mechanics. I'm here appealing to Carlo Rovelli's relational quantum mechanics, the RQM, but also global reality, or how it's proven that locally real isn't real, has been done by the renowned physicist Alain, John Clauser, and Anton Zeilinger, who these received the Nobel Prize of 2022. One of the things is that I found the most intriguing but also hardest to understand is that there is no scale to the universe. I think the normal idea is that the universe has its scales and that a meter is always a meter. Far from the fact, a meter is not possible, as well as a second or a minute, because space and time are closely connected. They are measured in the same way, but not with an absolute point of reference. Something that Newton called a sort of an origo, or point of origin. A necessary point, and Newton used a bucket to prove this, and this bucket doesn't really work. What we have instead is trigonometry. You do your trigs. 3 connecting dots makes for a triangle. That triangle is what we compare to what's outside. It could be illuminated or metaphorically pointed to by the, what is it called in English? Sextant. The navigating instrument for a ship, you know this thing, where you pick the horizon, the sun or a star, depending on your preference. And these will show you where you are in relation. It will not show you where you are absolutely, but it will show you where you are in relation. You have 3 trajectories, and these 3 trajectories will help you to understand where you should go. But this is to help us to get rid of this idea of an absolute situation in the universe, an absolute position. So I think this is absolutely fundamentally necessary in order to understand quantum mechanics, that there is no positioning in quantum mechanics. Because already in classical physics, there is not such a thing as an absolute positioning. And the 3 points we will understand as the further we dwell into these matters, go into physics, you understand better and better that everything is built out of 3 singular points, nothing else. Not a meter, there are no distances. You cannot actually absolutely say that the red-orange star of Betelgeuse is bigger than our star, or that Alpha Centauri comes in between our star, the Sun, and Betelgeuse or some other star. Those things are always coming from a relation. And understanding relations is to understand everything. So it is not unique to physics. Trigonometry or triangulation I think actually triangulation is the better wording here. I'll use that instead. You are constantly using these 3 points to triangle your way, whatever is the area, whatever is the subject. If it is the written text of Julian Barber, which I have in front of me, highly recommendable. The deep and suggestive principle of Leibnizian philosophy. That will also be understood via triangulation. I have a personal story here. I think the Trinity is important, but as I come upon Trinity once upon a time when I was doing my communion, I always perceived that the Trinity was something extra that was put on the world, a model, because this is how I encountered it in the teachings of my then the vicar who took care of the communion. And he taught us Trinity. And for us young children, it sounded weird because we did not understand that triangulation and Trinity is always present already. So it became only an extra model. Something that was put above reality. Not part of reality, but rather projected onto reality. And therefore, we thought it to be ridiculous, unnecessary, because we still thought that there were absolute space, absolute time, and listen to this, absolute understanding. So we thought that I can only, and remember this from the former lecture I had about quantum mechanics, the Homer Simpson eye who just gazes out into the world and makes understanding. See if I can draw Homer Simpson once more. I give it a try. Because if we don't understand triangulation, we will not understand that there is no such absolute thing as a subject or no absolute thing such as an object. Homer Simpson, I'll give it a try. Yeah, almost. Bit too thin maybe. I'm making bigger. Here he has his peanut brain. Could also be the thalamus or something like that. We were speaking earlier about the pineal gland. I think his brain size is just about the same size as my pineal gland. Not to brag or anything. He observes reality directly like this. And here we have the reality in form of an apple, like that. And he just simply perceives it. The apple is absolute. It's out there, completely shielded or distanced from Homer Simpson. There is no connection. The apple has its independent existence apart from whatever Homer Simpson think in his pineal gland or his peanut brain. There is no connection whatsoever. And the same goes for the apple. That is, however, gentlemen and ladies, not true. He, Homer Simpson, and the apple needs to make a triangulation in order to define distance, size, relative size, which is the only size that exists, time lapse. So in order to understand what an apple is, you have to understand triangulation. And the more you train triangulation, almost synonymous there, train triangulation, the better you get at it. Actually, apart from what people ordinarily think, seeing is a lifelong training process. Something I can testify as a painter myself. I have become more and more skilled in the art of painting as I progress also as a seer. And that seeing process is the triangulation, where I compare the triangle. This is what should be used. The triangle, inward triangle, to make an outward triangle, and to fathom to a degree, because it's always a degree, to a degree you will fathom the relativity. I wouldn't even say distance here, because that in itself implies, in the ordinary language, position, absolute position. It suggests that the subject and the object are highly distant from each other, not connected. So you should actually, as far as you can, give up that sort of thinking, or instead delve into deeper, more fractal understanding of reality. And this is, I would also say, one of the points why quantum mechanics and understanding better is so important for yourself as a person. Because if you don't understand the principle of triangulation, you will no longer train. You will become more passive in your seeing. You will not see seeing and understanding, knowledging, if you like, as an active process. Because that is what it is. It's an absolutely active process. It takes you to engage in your reality, not passively only looking like Homer Simpson. No, you do it with activity and with a smile on your face, because you need to have the energy as well. Something often pointed out by Erwin Schrödinger, one of my favorites in quantum mechanics, one of the pioneers, so to speak. He was there at a rather early start, already in the 1920s. What is Life is one of his more famed books, where he sort of made a very interesting prognosis of the DNA already at an early start, but also what is the world, what is the meaning, such things that can be strengthened by trigonometry or triangulation. Because understanding itself is a relational thing. Once more, I have to point to Carlo Rovelli, the Italian physicist of great renown. Everything is relational. Everything is positioned somewhere in time and space in a relationship, because Homer Simpson has a relation with his family, his wife. What's the name of Homer's wife? I don't recall, but his kids, Lisa and Bart, I think it is. And that relation is sort of the stuff of understanding. He is placed somewhere in a relationship and he meets another relationship. There is a triangulation, and there, after that, you have understanding. Once you put everything in perspective, you deepen your understanding. And isn't it amazing that at the bottom of all these things is the triangle, the Trinity. 3 points, not 4. That is 1 too many. And not 2, there's 1 too few. 3 points, you can call them the cardinal positions. I prefer this sort of triangle. And you can put that in comparison to the old model, the oversimplification, where this point is everywhere and nowhere, the origo. This is a bit crude, it's a bit of a generalization, but triangulation instead of the absolute points of the orthogonal perpendicular scheme of the Cartesian diagram, the XYZ, where the point of origin is not stated. It needs to be into the equation. I'm going to draw this a bit better. Sorry about that. I need to train my drawing skills. It's a bit hard to talk and draw at the same time. So, to cut it short, Julian Barber, highly recommendable. He's still going on, he's pushing on his 90s, he must be something like 88, 89. I've been in contact with him. He gave me advice for one of my papers. I was taking a deep interest into the Enlightenment and how this has sort of energized the Enlightenment ideas, but misses out on the origo. And if you push this too far, if you delve into that far, you lose yourself. You lose, where are you in the world? You lose your subject. Because understanding yourself and your situation, that is what makes for an understanding of also the world. Because you are in the world, you're not an alien visitor to the world, hazardously placed in the world. No, you are part of the world in a knowledgeable way. And in order to understand that, you need to ground yourself, which is, I think, is quite actual. I'll try to do it when I stand here. It's like you feel the ground is also part of the process. It's part of going into where you are so you can triangulate and you can clear your mind. I think this model, this overuse of this model and the idea that the universe should be modelized, not be directly perceivable, is a big part of the modern problem of stress, lack of focus, lack of understanding, lack of direction, something that is felt very much today. And oddly enough, the answer, the help comes from the modern physics. Quantum mechanics is extraordinarily helpful in this circumstance. That's about it for me and Julian Barber. I say thank you very much. Nice that you could check in. Cheers, should we? I will turn this off.